A record crowd of nearly 86,000 in a national television audience saw the Cleveland Browns open the 1970 season against the Jets in the first of the NFL's Monday night games. For the Browns, it was to be a spectacular introduction to the American Football Conference. At first, the Browns dominated the game. Homer Jones' 94-yard return and the familiar combination of Bill Nelson to Gary Collins helped build a 14-point Cleveland lead. Then, Broadway Joe Namath, at his best under bright lights, turned the rout into a barn burner. Namath cut the lead to 3 points, and with 38 seconds left, had the Jets driving again. But linebacker Billy Andrews ended the suspense and the game. For the third time in their 25-year history, the Browns had entered a new league in dramatic fashion.
In Harvard Stadium, the largest Boston crowd in 4 years saw their temporarily undefeated Patriots throw some surprises at the New York Jets. Number 35 fullback Jim Nantz swept for one score, and his running mate Carl Garrett, number 30, last year's Rookie of the Year, continued his current campaign for Sophomore of the Year. Another scintillating sophomore also gave the Jets nervous fits. He was wide receiver Ron Sellers, number 34. Ron Sellers may be the best young receiver in pro football. Despite the brilliance of the Patriots' second-year sensations, the Jets won the game because Joe Namath played it cool against Cleve Rush's varied defenses. He passed sparingly, hitting tight end Pete Lammons for one short touchdown among only 9 completions. For most of the day, Namath ran the ball at the Patriots with his matched pair of powerbacks Matt Snell and number 32 Emerson Boozer. But the Jets' game savers were 3 timely interceptions. One Boston drive was stopped by number 48 safety Gus Holloman. The ultimate game breaker was a 36-yard interception touchdown by rookie cornerback Earlie Thomas, number 45, as the Jets rebounded from their opening game loss 31-21. A season's worth of excitement occurred within 2.5 hours at Buffalo's War Memorial Stadium, when the New York Jets met the Buffalo Bills. Rookie quarterback Dennis Shaw, number 16, led the Bills to a startling upset victory over the Jets but not before he learned what pro football is all about. He first learned why tackle John Elliott, number 80, is considered the quickest defensive lineman in football. He saw why number 83, George Sauer, is almost impossible to cover by a single defensive back. But most of all, he learned how to play catch-up football. On the Bills' first series, Steve Tannen blocked and recovered Paul McGuire's punt for a touchdown. On the following kickoff, O.J. Simpson stumbled and sputtered and then blazed 94 yards through the Jets to tie the game at 7-7. By the time Buffalo was through congratulating O.J., the Jets scored again as Joe Namath drilled Richard Castor, and the big rookie from Jackson State raced 72 yards to a 14-7 lead. Within the space of 4 minutes from the opening kickoff, 3 touchdowns were scored. Another Namath touchdown pass, this time to George Sauer, built the Jets' advantage to a 24-10 halftime edge. Shaw cut into the Jets' bulge with a pretty pass at the flag to Marlon Briscoe. New York 24, Buffalo 20. But the Jets refused to wilt. Broadway Joe gunned a rainbow to Castor, who raced to the Bills' 11-yard line. 2 plays later, Emerson Boozer sliced and battered his way into the end zone, and a 31-20 Jet lead. Buffalo crept back with a short smash by Simpson that cut the margin to 4, 31-27. A perfect onside kick by Grant Guthrie was recovered by number 21, Jackie Allen. Led by their rookie quarterback, Dennis Shaw, the Bills went ahead to stay as Marlon Briscoe beat Steve Tannen to the corner and to the ball. The sudden rush of victory sliced through the gloom of losses in their first 2 games as the Buffalo Bills and downtown Dennis beat Broadway Joe and the boys from the big city, 34-31.
Last Saturday night in New York, Baltimore's former coach, Don Shula, led his Miami Dolphins to a first-place tie with the Colts. The main ingredient in Miami's 3 wins has been the new passing combination of Bob Greasy to number 42, Paul Warfield, a receiver who leaves defenders stumbling after him. In all, Greasy connected with Warfield 5 times for 122 yards. Miami's first touchdown came as Greasy sprinted left and found who else but Paul Warfield in the end zone. Greasy also passed for a touchdown to his other wide receiver, number 81, Howard Twilley. Joe Namath was there too, and so were a few of his old favorites, like number 87, tight end Pete Lammons, who battled for every possible yard. Another Namath favorite was there, number 32, Emerson Boozer, and he too gave it all he had. But conference leading rusher Matt Snell was gone. In his place was number 34, inexperienced Lee White. No Matt Snell, at least not yet. And there were others missing, Jerry Philbin, Roger Finney, and in Don Maynard's place, several rookie receivers whose inexperience had to make a difference to Namath, who threw 40 times, mostly short ones, but connected only 17 times. And the Jets never did cross Miami's goal line. New York's power was nullified. George Sauer did not catch one pass, though he came closer to a touchdown than any other member of the Jets. Three times Namath was intercepted by the alert Dolphin defense. Once by rookie safety Jake Scott, number 13. Namath's last drive was sealed off by Dolphin cornerback Lloyd Mumford, number 26. The Dolphins had won 20-6 for their third win in 4 games. The Jets had lost their third in 4 games, and for the Jets, the roughest part of their schedule is yet to come. Sharing first place with the Dolphins are the Baltimore Colts. In a wild replay of the 1968 Super Bowl game, the fired-up Colts charged to an early lead when Jerry Logan intercepted Joe Namath's first pass of the day and returned it for a touchdown. The Colt offense joined in on the enthusiastic revenge. Unitas connected with Hinton for a 32-yard gain. 2 plays later, Unitas flipped the ball to Tom Mitchell, and the Colts had scored again. Shocked and embarrassed by Baltimore's 2 quick scores, the Jets finally offered some resistance. W.K. Hicks picked off a pass from Unitas and put the Jets in scoring position. The last time these teams met, it was the Jet defense that made the big plays. Today, the defense of the Baltimore Colts conquered the Jets and made the vital moves that ensured the Colts a victory. Mike Curtis, number 32, and later in the second quarter, Jerry Logan, number 20, both intercepted passes that squelched New York drives. Namath crumbled under the inspired Baltimore rush, and throughout the first quarter was unable to mount a successful drive. The offensive fire that had burned so fiercely in that Super Bowl game of 1968 was smothered in the dust of New York's Shea Stadium. New York's elusive pass receivers were contained by Baltimore's tenacious gang-tackling zone defense. In the first half, the Jets' only score came on a safety and a field goal. At halftime, they trailed 20-5. The third quarter began as a replay of the first. This time it was Bob Grant who intercepted Namath and returned it for a touchdown. The Jet defense set the stage for New York's first touchdown when Hicks came up with his second interception and returned it to the Colts 17. Namath capitalized on the interception and passed to Eddie Bell for a score, but Baltimore still led 26-12. Bell's touchdown bolstered New York's waning confidence, and the next time the Jets got possession, Namath drove them downfield with short passes into the creases of the Colts' zone. Namath's strategy paid off with a touchdown by Emerson Boozer. In spite of the fact that Namath completed 34 of his 62 passes, the Colts held on to win 29-22 and moved into a first-place tie with the Dolphins.
At Shea Stadium, the Bills faced the Jets minus Joe Namath, who was missing for the first time in 78 regular season games. His substitute, Al Woodall, must have been feeling the pressure, as he had trouble handling the snap from center early in the game. When the snap wasn't mishandled, Woodall was manhandled, this time by number 82, Al Cowlings. Even his receivers seemed to be fighting him, as when he did complete a pass, Pete Lammons fumbled it when hit by Paul Guidry, number 59. The Bills scored following the break when Dennis Shaw hit Haven Moses. But the touchdown was nullified by offensive interference, and Buffalo settled for a Grant Guthrie field goal and a 3-0 halftime lead. In the second half, Woodall began hitting his receivers and moved the Jets to 2 field goals and a 6-3 lead, as the Jets appeared ready to avenge an earlier defeat at the hands of the Buffalo Bills. Then came the big play of the game, as Shaw teamed with Haven Moses again, this time for a 40-yard pickup. It set up Wayne Patrick's 3-yard score as the Bills beat the Jets for the second time this season. Final score 10-6 Buffalo.
The New York Jets were next, and the trophy was the biggest ever. New York City for a year. Although Kathy and Joanne thought the Jets were still number one, after this game, they weren't even number one in New York. The Giants' defense hounded and pounced, crowded and crumpled, and came hungry for quarterback. Jim Files and Fred Dreyer performed the ultimate in defense as they toppled the Jets in their own end zone. While Al didn't have much to show, Francis and his receivers did. And the latest link in the forged chain of teamwork rolled the Jets secondary up and blew it away, as Tucker and McNeil flew fast and free. And while many people had written the Giants off after their early losses, those people were now taking a second look, because at 4-3, the Giants were rising fast.
The next Sunday, on a bright and beautiful November afternoon, a hometown hero returned to Pennsylvania. Over 50,000 Pittsburgh partisans saw their team get a big break early when Ben McGee recovered a New York fumble on the 10. 3 plays later, John Fuqua punched over from the 1, and the Steelers were off and running against the fine Jet defense. Pittsburgh's main weapon was 230-pound Warren Bankston, whose reckless running has become a conversation piece among Steeler fans. Bankston's powerful play thrust Pittsburgh further ahead of the Jets. But late in the game, the Steeler lead was cut to only 4 points. In past years, this might have ignited a collapse. But Steeler 70 is not another year. Harry Hanratty brought his team right back to a touchdown. In one of the finest periods in the team's history, Pittsburgh had won 4 of 5 and was now tied with Cleveland for first place. Steelers 70 was for real. More than 76,000 fans filed into the Los Angeles Coliseum to see the New York Jets and number 18, young Al Woodall, take on the Rams and a better-known number 18, Roman Gabriel. The Rams needed a victory to stay within 1 game of San Francisco, and Gabriel got them going in the right direction with a touchdown to number 84, wide receiver Jack Snow. There were other flashes of the old Ram brilliance, such as this pass to running back Les Josephson, number 34. But for the most part, it was a day of frustration for the Rams. 2 potential touchdowns to number 33, Willie Ellison, were ruled out of bounds. On another occasion, Ellison fumbled at the Jets' 1-yard line. 3 times, Gabriel was intercepted, once in the end zone and twice by number 62, middle linebacker Al Atkinson. Gabriel's second touchdown pass was anticlimactic. It came with less than a minute and a half left, and the Rams trailing by 18 points. Gabriel scrambled and finally found number 20, Tommy Mason. The other number 18, Al Woodall, spent the early part of the game gathering grass stains under the powerful Ram pass rush. But he survived 4 premature burials and came back throwing. And his receivers looked like Joe Namath's receivers of 2 years ago. Number 83 looked like the George Sauer of old. Number 13 looked like the Don Maynard of old and the all-time pro yardage leader. In all, Woodall's best day included 10 completions for 261 yards and 3 touchdowns, 1 on George Sauer's patented post pattern. Another came on a post pattern which freed number 88, rookie wide receiver Richard Castor. Woodall's other scoring pass was an inside screen to number 34, Lee White, a second-year running back from Weber State College. It wasn't the Super Bowl, but it was a great way to break a 6-game losing streak. Jets 31, Rams 20.
In Shea Stadium, the Boston Patriots suffered their 9th straight loss. However, their defense had one moment of glory when number 23 Darrell Johnson broke the Shea Stadium hop, skip, and jump record. By blitzing all their linebackers and even a safety or two, Boston did manage to nullify the passing attack that had destroyed the Los Angeles Rams. Against the run, Boston was just as stingy, but for the 9th straight week, the Patriots offense failed to complement their belligerent defense as the Jets held Boston to a paltry 80 yards in total offense. Joe Kapp's jump shots fluttered harmlessly away from his receivers, and he completed just 5 passes all afternoon. Missed assignments by his line resulted in a physical beating for Kapp, while missed mental assignments plagued his substitute Mike Tolliver, number 17. The Jets' offense, though not overpowering, was lucky enough to win. Setback George Knock eased through the Patriots' gutty defense for 2 touchdowns as the New York Jets won their 2nd straight game 17-3. If a Hollywood director conceived and put on film what Coach John Madden and the Oakland Raiders are accomplishing for real, the movie-going public would freak. But against the Jets at Shea Stadium, it truly looked as if the Raiders had run out of miracles. The Jets, with number 32 Emerson Boozer alive and kicking, ran successfully as Boozer gulped 115 yards. But the elements and good defense combined, and the Jets led by only 3-0 at halftime. In the third quarter, New York's defense provided the spark. W.K. Hicks, number 33, intercepted a pass and slid 19 yards to the Raiders' 16. From there, Woodall threw a perfect pass to Pete Lammons, number 87, and the Jets led 10-0. The Raiders finally scored late in the third quarter when George Blanda hit Warren Wells. But the Jets seemed destined to win. Al Atkinson made the Jets' second interception. Jim Turner kicked a field goal, and the Jets had a seemingly comfortable lead, 13-7. But with 8 seconds left, it happened again. LaMonica's desperation heave found Warren Wells in the end zone, and the Jets had been just another victim in a long line of Oakland miracle finishes. The Raiders 14, the Jets 13.
The New York Jets flew into Miami intent on avenging an early season defeat. But Super Bowl thoughts already had started to enter the Dolphins' minds. Number 81, Howard Twilley, another original Dolphin, provided some clutch receiving. And with a playoff berth in mind, Miami decided to polish up a few new maneuvers. But old familiar tactics worked just as well. And another strong defensive effort, combined with 3 Garo Yepremian field goals, gave Miami a 16-10 victory. In previous years, Miami had never beaten New York. In 1970, they did it twice. All that stood between the Dolphins and the playoffs was a battle with the troublesome Buffalo Bills.
The Baltimore Colts tuned up for the playoffs by facing their old Super Bowl foes, the New York Jets. Number 18, Al Woodall, got the Jets on the board first with this bullet to rookie Richard Castor. Earl Morrill found number 33, Eddie Hinton, wide open for the equalizer. But number 81, Jerry Philbin, dislocated this moral aerial, and linebacker Larry Grantham put the Jets in the lead late in the first half. But Morrill brought the poised Colts right back before the end of the half, hitting number 87 Roy Jefferson for a long gain. Working on the left side of the Jets secondary, he speared Roy Jefferson 3 times. Then he again sprung Hinton on the opposite side to complete the drive. In the third period, the old pro Earl Morrill continued his mischief in the Jets secondary. Number 84, Tom Mitchell, made this good grab. Old pro Jimmy Orr did his thing once more for the Baltimore Colts and gracefully faded into the evening shadows of a great career, giving way to maturing stars like number 27, Ray Perkins. The Colts' last score came when number 83, Ted Hendricks, blocked this punt and recovered for 6 more points. The Baltimore Colts are more than a team. They are a tradition as the Jets keep learning. This time, 35-20, Baltimore.